Going to the next session, and I would like to call on Eunice Eze to give us a session on her journey, on how she got into open source, and I hope you pay attention. Thank you, Eunice. Hi guys, good afternoon everyone. I hope you guys are enjoying the event just like I am. You don't look excited, why? Okay, while we wait for my slides to come up, with a show of hands, can you raise your hand if before now or at any point you thought open source was just for people that could write code? Yes, you ever thought that if I can't write a line of code, I can't contribute to open source? That means we are few that thought that, okay, well, that was me before, okay, but before I give you my journey, okay, so about me, I'm a senior product designer, right, and I'm also a content creator. I post videos on Instagram and TikTok. I'm sure you're going to see a video of me at the end of today on Instagram and TikTok talking about what I did today. And I'm passionate about service. I love to volunteer, and that's how I found myself in open source and kindness and growth. And yeah, I'm also passionate about creating meaningful user experiences and empowering youth through storytelling and fitness. I go to the gym every day, just in case. And then before January 2025, I thought open source was not for non-code professionals just like me. I mean, I could have joined open source before this year, but I used to think, oh, I can't write code, so I can't contribute to open source. But thanks to Ruth over there, I joined open source, and I am here today, and I'm speaking to you. And this was my very first message in the community when I joined on the 27th of January. And I said, oh, good morning everyone, I'm Eunice Eze, I'm a product designer. I'm new to open source, and I am open to learning how it works and how I can contribute to the project. And a big shout out to Kingsley. Yes, Kingsley has held my hand ever since. He's the one leading the design community in chaos, right? And he responded, and I had my first meeting on the 29th of January. I know it's very funny that, yes, I have these dates in my head. But yeah, it meant a lot to me, so I had to keep it in my head. And from that day, from my very first message to my very first meeting, to my first GitHub comment, believe me, I did not use GitHub before today. I mean, I had a GitHub account when I joined tech in 2020 because I felt, oh, I needed to have one. But I couldn't write code, so I did use it. But then this year I had to go and dig it. And I started using it. The community chaos has held my hand from teaching me how to comment on GitHub. I know it's very fun because some developers will be like, I don't know how to do that. Yeah, I do know how to do that, and I had to learn how to do that. I had to learn how to assign tasks to people. I had to learn how to upload my deliverables on GitHub, and I also had to learn how to read the minutes. I know that a lot of us don't even know what, okay, we might know what meeting minutes are, but we hardly read meeting minutes. But thanks to open source and chaos, I make it a point of duty to read the minutes, even when I attend the meeting and when I don't attend the meeting, so I'm up to date. And to my first contribution, so my very first contribution was after my first meeting where thinking of doing like branding for chaos, right? And I said, oh, okay, I'm going to go and do research on types of, maybe the fonts we can use, because we already had like brand colors and all, the fonts we can use and why we should use them. And that was my very first contribution. And yeah, JC was there to help me. And just like me, I want you to know that you can contribute to open source. You can start small. You can imagine that my first contribution was doing a research on fonts for branding. I didn't necessarily have to do a lot. I didn't necessarily have to go and learn how to write code. Or I didn't necessarily go and learn, oh, this open source project, what can I do and stuff. You can start small, but you also need to understand that your determination to contribute would help you like do better, because nobody would believe that joining open source in January and I'm here speaking to you. Alright, if I was not an active contributor, if I did not try to make my mark, I'm sure that nobody would have, I mean, even when I applied to speak, I was scared, but I did it, right? But just imagine if I was not contributing, if I didn't feel I belong here, I probably wouldn't be here speaking to you. And my growth and impact started when I joined meetings, right? So I've never been to Canada yet, but trust me, my work has been to Canada. Right, so this was when Chan, she sent a message to the community, and she was asking for a designer to help her come up with a flyer. I mean, as simple as the flyer contributed to open source, right? And I designed the flyer for the data science hackathon that happened in Canada. I'm here in Nigeria with you, but my work is speaking for me in Canada over there, and it can be you too. And I didn't have to write the line of code. I didn't have to do a big deal. I just had to do something I was already doing. I just had to contribute with something that I love, right? And I didn't wait for her to say, oh, Eunice, can you help me do this? Right? So if you want to contribute actively to open source, you don't necessarily have to wait. You have to pick up tasks, right? If you also need help, you can ask people ahead of you. I'm always in Kingsley's them, I'm always in Mary Blessing's them, or Oluchi, or Ruth. I'm always asking, okay, I don't know how to do this. In fact, it was Boosted that showed me how to make comment on GitHub when we first had our meeting. Right, and it was really amazing because I was open to learn. So if you want to grow in open source, you need to be open to learn. You need to be open to ask people ahead of you for help, and you also need to be open to feedback. Because before now, I only just designed mobile applications, website, mobile applications, the product designer. But thanks to open source, I have learned a lot about branding. Right, so you are seeing. Okay, let me show you. Do you know that this slide was part of my contribution to open source? Right, and because I work with amazing designers in the community, you are seeing all these banners, you are seeing your tags, you are seeing all the designs on social media. We all did that, and we did not have to write a line of code. And you might be wondering, is it just designers that can contribute to open source? No, you are seeing, okay, Chaos Con Africa. Do you know that it was a copywriter that told us that, oh, you don't need this flyer to be a lot, just do this, right? So even as a writer, you can contribute to open source. Even as a community manager, you can contribute to open source. It's somebody that is posting on Chaos X account, on Chaos LinkedIn, and that person is contributing to open source by being a community manager. You can do it. You don't necessarily have to do too much. You can even do as little as, oh, okay, for this post, the caption can be better. Trust me, there was a time we needed somebody to help us with captions to post. That can be a contribution too. You don't necessarily have to do too much. You don't necessarily have to be Ruth that does a lot. And trust me, Ruth started from somewhere. You get Ruth did not just become the root of open source from nowhere. She had to start small. She inspired me, and I'm going to be there one day. But my point is, you don't have to do a lot to contribute to open source. Right, and you're wondering why you belong here. I'm sure I've already said it. You can do design, you can be a UX writer, a copywriter, you can handle the social media, right? You can even be somebody that follows up with tags. Do you get? Because Mary Blessing would always follow up, okay, have you done this? Have you done that? All the will remind me of certain things that I need to do. That can be your contribution. Do you get? And the best part is you can learn while contributing. Like I told you, I didn't know much about brand designing. In fact, when we started the whole planning of the team for Chaos Con, I didn't even know we had to do a document to design flyers, or to design backdrops, or to design these things. But my contribution has also helped me learn. Right? It has helped me learn a lot as well. So you belong here too. You don't necessarily have to write code. And yeah, so this is the end of my presentation. And just like I said, you don't need to write code to contribute to open source. Writers, designers, marketers can contribute to open source, and that can be you today. Thank you.